The war began for me and my wife. It was October 7th. It was Shmini Atzeret. In Israel, it was Simchat Torah. And our phone rang at 4 o'clock in the morning, USA Eastern Standard Time. And that never happens in our house. So the minute that happened, we realized something not good is happening. Our son was already on the answering machine. His name is Itai. And he was in a special reserve unit in the Border Patrol. And he just gone on and said something horrible has happened down south. He said it's not a terrorist event. It's much more severe and serious. All I could tell you is we're going down there. I don't know when I'll be able to get back to you, but wish us luck and daven for us. We're not sure what's waiting for us. I was literally shocked. It's very hard to shock me at this point in my life because I heard a lot of things, been involved in a lot of things, but not prepared for this. And I have a few feeds that I could find out what's going on, and I'm beginning to find out that there is a massive terror operation going on in the south. How bad it is, obviously I don't know yet, but I know that they've hit across the entire front. And again, at the beginning, I didn't know how disorganized the army was, etc. But I got a sense that this is an event that we've never gone through before, and that civilians are being killed at remarkable rates. And we don't have proper defense set up or engaging them. I realized by the 24th hour afterwards that what we are witnessing is something that we all swore would never happen when Israel would be reestablished. We're witnessing a mini Shoah. And with the difference is that we're not asking anybody else to do the fighting for us, but we're going to have to stop this, and we're going to have to not just stop it, we're going to have to make them pay a price that no one will ever dream or think about doing this again. And the truth is, for the first few months after that, I don't think I slept well any night. My son's unit, I found out later, he didn't want to tell us all the details, they were fighting in Yotav. He was in many of those yeshuvim. He was in Sderot, in the gun battles, in the Tivot. And October 7th is different than any event that the state of Israel has ever been involved in or ever witnessed. Hamas was exceptionally well organized. They did all their homework, and they pulled off a massive pogrom. They actually knew not just where civilians lived, they knew in each house the layout. This is where mom and dad sleep. This is the daughter. This is the daughter's name. Her name is Lev. She's got this bedroom. The boy's name is Dror. He's in the room on the corner. They have a dog. The dog's name is Shachar. They knew everything. Their intel was they knew exactly in every house. These were the workers that we brought in over the years, and everybody. And the ironic thing is that these kibbutzim were about as pro-peace as you can be in Israeli society. And they came in, there was mass murder. There was dismemberment. There was torture. They was using medieval tactics. They were using power tools. They were torturing kids in front of their parents. They tortured parents in front of their kids. They burnt people alive. The dismemberment was rampant. The beheading was rampant. But the death toll in that first day was something no one ever expected. You're talking about 1,200 civilians, and about 300 soldiers were butchered as well. I never thought in my life that once we reestablished Israel, this would happen to us. As this is all happening, the army didn't react the way it should react. The army was asleep. The army was not where it was supposed to be. The mere fact, if you saw the videos, that a tractor is sitting there working and crashing through the fence for 10 minutes. Now the irony is I know that area. I did spotting for the army in the northern part of the Gaza in 2019. It's not possible for this to happen without us noticing. My son's unit was an anomaly. Most of the response were guys who grabbed guns. Then there's the Commonsense brothers. We literally heard about this. They drove from the Drom Har Chevron. There was two brothers and a son-in-law. They're in the reserves. They live in a place where they have licenses for military weapons. They're in Kitot Konenut. They literally packed their car up with everything they had privately. Drove an hour and 20 minutes like lunatics from Drom Har Chevron all the way to Otef Aza and did their own rescue operation. The older brother was killed. They personally saved about 100 plus people. And there were other people like them who came from all. There was an Ethiopian soldier who just happened to be in the area. He ran 8 miles carrying his gear to go fight. People came from all. Police did a lot of fighting. Police from Sderot, police from the Tivot. Police who were stationed there literally did some of the initial fighting. There was no army. There was no battalions, brigades. Once the government and the army got their footing, which was within the first 48 to 72 hours, first thing, the Air Force was able to respond relatively quickly. But in terms of being able to put together an answer on the ground, a serious answer, they had to mobilize the reserves. Not just some of the reserves, but all of the reserves. And this is called Tzav Shmone, and it was the first time since the Yom Kippur War, pretty much almost anybody that was in the reserves that had been active literally within the last 10 years was called to come in to fight. We're fighting everywhere. When we say there's a 7-front war, let me explain what that means. We're fighting in Gaza, fighting in Lebanon, we're fighting in Judea and Samaria, okay? We're fighting Iran, we're fighting Syria, and we're fighting the Teimanim, right, the Houthis, and then on top of that, we're also fighting Iraqi militias as well. A typical combat soldier does about 30 days of reserves a year. In this war, because this is the longest war in the history of the State of Israel, and the fronts are dynamic, and the fighting keeps happening. We're either fighting here, Judea, Samaria, Gaza, Lebanon, or Jordan River Valley, or wherever, but we're fighting. So units have been called up 3 times, 4 times. There are tens of thousands of soldiers that have served 300 days. 400 days. Let's zoom out for a second. What does that mean? First of all, whatever job I had, that's not taking place. If I'm a Rabbi, I haven't been teaching. If I'm a doctor, I'm not in the hospital. If I'm running a pizza store, I'm not running a pizza store. Whatever it is I normally do, I'm not doing that. Yes, the Army pays you X amount per day, and it's a massive amount of the budget. Very few soldiers are bringing in home the amount they normally would need to run their lives. Now look at the other part of what's happening in all of this. All these families stopped being families. Think about yourselves. You went on a 10-day trip. Okay, that would be a little bit hard for your wife. Now imagine you take a 60-day trip. You take a 90-day trip. You got 5 kids at home. You got 6 kids at home. Who's doing homework with them? Who's putting them to bed? Who's getting them ready to go to yeshiva or to public school the next day? Who's telling them bedtime stories? Okay? The wives are literally, they've fallen off their feet. They're single moms. Now add to this, they're not just a single mom. The kids know what's happening. Where is Dad? He's in harm's way. How do they know? Because every other day there's a funeral. And this one's friend's father was killed. And this one's friend's father had his foot blown off. So on top of all of this, the mothers and the sons and the daughters, it's not just Dad is not around. We hope Dad will come back in one piece. And that's a psychological trauma. Kids, 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds are sleeping in bed with Mom. There are lots and lots of guys in this war who've had limbs blown off. So you come near a window, you come near a door, you come near a boom, you're too close, or they put something near one of our vehicles, and before you know it, you lost your hands or you lost your feet. That's a traumatic injury. You're going to be in a hospital for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, a year. Israeli families move from where they are to be next to their husband or next to Dad. What does that mean? So I have double trauma. My father now is an amputee. Now I have to live in a new neighborhood. I moved to a new school. Kids are making fun of me in school because every time the teacher asks me a question, I don't know what day it is. So suddenly this kid needs therapy. Not because she was fighting, not because a rocket landed in her living room, but because her dad was wounded and her whole life is upside down. There are guys who try to restart their business when they have that 40-day lull, okay? And they take out another loan to try to make it. And before you know it, they're called back again. These are all patriots. They're all Tzionim. And they look at their wives and say, I know I just took out 50,000 shekel to try to open up the pizza store again, or to open up that, that little guest house you and I wanted to do. The battalion commander called me up. We're going back into Gaza in 3 weeks. I'm going. I'm protecting you, the family, the state, the country, my friends. We're talking about tens of thousands of families around Israel that are affected by this. But what we want to do here is we want to go beyond and deal with some serious traumatic problems, whether it's a physical problem, a psychological problem, an economic problem, whatever it is. We're going to hopefully change the lives of 100 families. It could be that every family needs 100,000 shekel. It could be. Could be, which is, let's say, $25,000, $30,000. Or it could be another family that needs 200,000 shekel, which could be $45,000. But we're making a big difference. For this family, we're going to solve this for you. In this war, which in Hebrew is called Charavot Barzel, which is swords of iron, and maybe the name will change. The level of patriotism and Mesirut Nefesh. People use the word Mesirut Nefesh. This is true Mesirut Nefesh, when you put yourself on the line. I see the Milawimnikim. Everybody believes in this Mesima, in this idea. It's a biblical mitzvah for everybody. We're saving Medinat Yisrael. This is a war of existence. Medinat Yisrael is not just Israel, it's the Jewish nation. I got videos already yesterday of Tfilot Rosh Chodesh in Lebanon and in Gaza. It's unbelievable. There's this clear sense of a Jewish army fighting for the Jewish state and for the Jewish nation. Their sacrifice is unending. There are actually guys who've been really wounded badly who go back. Against doctors' advice, they go back to their units to fight. And I'm asking you, I know most American Jews who care about Israel, since October 7th, have done above and beyond what you thought you would have to do this year and stuck up. I know it. I'm asking to go beyond that. I feel it's the least we can do, where these people are putting everything on the line. They are aware of the anti-Semitic events that take place around the globe. It doesn't make a difference if it's Amsterdam or Columbia University or Crown Heights or California. They know. And that also gives them motivation. At the end of the day, there's not much that we're able to do in the United States other than politically and trying to organize and that the government stand up on our behalf and fight anti-Semitism, etc. But in Israel, we hit back the enemy. They literally have our backs. I'm asking you to give mamonot. These people are giving damim. They have their job, and we have our job. Their job is ki tetzu lemilchama, and they're doing it. It's the least that we can do.